Radhe Krishna, dear friends. Good afternoon. I am Ruchi, representing Hen India, her entrepreneurial network, a platform to bring Indian women entrepreneurs together. We are, we welcome you to yet another Hen live session, and this one is very special. This is one of its kind in this series that we call hashtag Scale Up. What is scale up? Scale up has different definition. It is as good as saying what is your success point. And on Hen, we do not believe in defining what scale up is, but we believe in sharing that what has been scale up for different women entrepreneurs in different industries and how they have achieved it. We also feel and believe that scaling up is a journey and it starts from self. And many a times as an entrepreneur, this is one conversation we kind of don't get into, or we miss it because world around us is moving so fast, it kind of distracts sometimes. Now, for today's story sharing, we have with us a very special women entrepreneur. But before I show you or tell you about her or introduce you, let me show you some of her work for you to understand and see what she's done and where she comes from. So, dear friends, uh, can you see my screen? Yes. Friends, this is what I want you to see. Madhu Chandrika started a business with this kind of a mural, which was 2 feet into 2 feet 25 years ago. And today, she does these facades. This one was done for Manipal Hospital. Isn't it beautiful? It is indeed a different ball game to do a 2 into 2 beautiful mural versus doing a facade like this. Isn't it? If you like it, do share your appreciation for this. Madhu would love to have it from you. These are some more work that she and Earthen Symphony team has created. These are standalone pieces that define the space that they are in. Reception area. And this is very special. This is a founder's wall in Manipal. These are some of their work that they have done. However, now let me introduce to you Madhu Chandrika. Hey Madhu, Radhe
Hi.
Krishna.
Hi, Ruchi. Thanks
Welcome,
for having
welcome to
me
our.
over here.
Thank you so much, Madhu, for sharing your time and experience. But guys, before we move ahead, let me introduce or at least share who is Madhu, and beyond these beautiful pieces that she and her team created, what are her other accolades. She's not just an entrepreneur, she is an artist first. She's a TEDx speaker. She is a wife, a mother, a daughter, and much more. She has completed several projects, like I showed you, for companies like ISB Mohali, L&T Bangalore, UPES Dehradun, Manipal Hospital Bangalore, Jaipur, Delhi, Bangalore, and many more. She is also being recognized by various organizations for the work that she does and for the entrepreneur she is. She is being recognized by the Goldman Sachs and Fortune Global Women Leader Award 2012 as Fortune Most Powerful Women Summit in 2012 in Los Angeles. She's been awarded with the Aspen Institute Women Entrepreneur Award 2013 in US, the Emerge Women Achievers Award 2016 by Emerge in Bangalore. Best Business Plan Award was is what she won by ISB in 2009. She's been also recognized by Femina as Femina Women Entrepreneur Award 2018. Wow, Madhu, that's quite a bit. And guys, this journey is 25 years old journey, which started with rupees 5,000, isn't it, Madhu?
That's right. Yes. Yes.
And from 5,000 today, would you like to share with our viewers what is your turnover?
Our turnover is around 4 crores, Ruchi. Yeah.
Wow. Wow. Thank you so much. It is commendable. So, Madhu, tell us. I mean, it's like a big journey, and we have only 40 minutes to talk about it.
Yes.
So tell us, why did you start Earthen Symphony in the first place? What is Earthen Symphony for you?
So, Ruchi, for me, Earthen Symphony is about creating something different, something new all the time. So throughout my school years, I was always very engrossed, very interested in the art, craft part of my curriculum, and I enjoyed creating something new. And it so happened that when I was in the fourth year of my college during the holiday time, I had got together a group of my friends, and we did a pottery exhibition. So that was basically because we had 3 months of holidays and wanted to create something which could get us some earning to take care of a project that we had to do, which would have been expensive in the fifth year. So that was an act of creation again. And post that exhibition, after the final year, I realized that this was very, very satisfying for me, the act of creation. And it came naturally to me. I was able to take it further. Whatever I visualized, I was actually able to go ahead, create, and make it a reality. So after my final year, I decided that let me take this up as something that I want to continue doing, where the rest of my friends who were part of this pottery show were not there with me. They went on further and joined ad agencies because I had done my specialization in commercial art. So two of us, Aditi and myself, two of us immediately started off with Earthen Symphony. So that's how Earthen Symphony started.
Nice. So it is completely a story which is, say, started by a hobby, but is
Yes.
core to your being, isn't it?
Absolutely. It keeps me immersed all the time.
Interesting. So, Madhu, we just saw your work. We saw how you did a 2 into 2 feet mural, to the kind of facades that you're doing and the larger than life creations you're doing. So, in your kind of a business, would you want to tell us what are the verticals that are very crucial, or what is it that makes the business together?
So when you talk about verticals, Ruchi, my business itself, I wouldn't say had any existing business to fall back on or to learn a structure for the business. Okay. It was something which I started off as a passion on a lark, started off as a business. And I'm not from a business family, nor do I have a business background when I started. But I just started off because I knew there was something that I could create, and there was an exhibition where I had sold everything that I had created. So I knew there was a clientele over there. Now, when you talk about verticals, along the journey, as my business grew, I started demarcating and creating a vertical for my business. Whatever started as a single person doing everything in the business, slowly over the years, verticals have been created within the business based on the need and availability of personnel accordingly.
Brilliant. So in that case, then we might as well understand these verticals through the journey, isn't it?
Yeah.
So let's do this, Madhu. How about we cut our conversation into year-wise, because we have a long journey to capture and less time to go with, right? So you just shared with us, you started this business initially to do an exhibition with your friends, and then you and one of your friends started this business.
That's right.
When you say 25 years old, I understand it was started in 1995,
Absolutely. Yeah.
right?
August of 1995.
Wow. So let's do a batch of five years. So tell us what was doing business between 1995 to 2000. What I would want you to capture is, what were your initial hiccups like? And what was your one learning in that 5 years of journey?
Yeah, that should be, yeah, that would actually pretty much capture the growth pattern
Yeah,
for the
yeah,
company.
yeah.
Yeah, 95, when I started, me and my partner Aditi, we were two of us then. It was a
Mm-hmm.
typical garage beginning. It was another friend's father who was kind enough to tell us, I have this garage which is free and available, you can use it. So I
Mm-hmm.
remember our first rental that we paid was 1,500 rupees for that garage. So from
Mm-hmm.
painting the walls of the garage, cleaning it up and making it usable, that is where
Mm-hmm.
we started. And what we started, because we had already done an exhibition of pottery, we knew exactly how that whole process worked. So we started
Mm-hmm.
off again by continuing to do pottery, and during the first exhibition itself, we had invited a lot of interior designers and architects, and we knew where the market was. So
Mm-hmm.
we continued with the process of having an exhibition and
Mm-hmm.
putting up a set of products, creating a set of products, putting it up for sale. And once
Mm-hmm.
those were sold, there was always an order. There was a
Mm-hmm.
continuous flow of orders, which would take us for about 6 months, last for
Mm-hmm.
about 6 months, during which time we created another exhibition and the whole process. So we continued this way for almost about, I would say, 4 years. So that was my first way, because none of us, we had no clue. We hadn't worked anywhere, didn't know what else was marketing, or we didn't have any other clients. So this is
Mm-hmm.
how we built a client base. Our products, I mean, I have seen even now people who have bought during those exhibitions. I have landed up in my son's friend's house and seen that product which has been sold in my exhibition still there in their house.
Wow.
So, yeah. So that is during this period, though we just started by ourselves, that was when we started hiring somebody just to help us for the preparation before going into the paint part of it, how to do the base preparation. So that was when our first hiring started. I think by the end of 2000, we had about 3 people that we had hired to help us.
So
So,
5 years was more about understanding the market, selling the product, testing the product, and hiring three people.
yes,
Yeah.
absolutely.
And you had a business partner then.
I had a business partner then, yes.
Who was your friend?
Aditi, yeah. Her name was Aditi. She was my classmate from my College of Fine Art, Chitrakala Parishad. She was one of
Wow.
the women where we had done the exhibition together.
How was the work split between both of you in the first phase?
Work split was equal.
Mm-hmm.
Whatever. So we did everything. We used to go for meetings together. We did our design ideation together, and even the manual work. We
Mm-hmm.
did all of it together.
Okay. Okay. So then let's go to phase two. Before that, dear friends, like I showed you, these are some murals, some pottery work that Madhu, her friend, and Team Earthen Symphony was doing in that phase between 95 and 2000. So yes, Madhu, now between 2000 and 2005,
Right.
what was the journey, and what, if you can also tell us how was the revenue going around that time? Because we're talking about business, it'll help our entrepreneurs and viewers to
Sure.
understand.
Between 95 to 2000, whatever that, we are lucky that from day one, we did make a profit. From month one, I wouldn't say day one, from month one, we did make, because we, as design, there's a lot of it available to do which doesn't require a material investment. We designed greeting cards initially just to make sure that we had cash flow available for friends
Mhm.
and family. We did paintings, we did prints, we did greeting cards, all sorts of things along with our pottery. But from the
Mhm.
first exhibition, once we sold the first lot of pottery, we had good enough profit, which took us for, like I said, about 6 months. So between 2000 and 2005, a lot of things changed. What was nice and smooth flowing till about 2002. What happened in 2002? I had my son. So I was carrying and I had my son, Nihal. And what happened also was that we were working out of Indranagar. And in that place, we realized that our operations were growing larger and we were doing a lot of coloring and spray, and we could not continue to be in a residential area and continue to do these kind of production work. So we had to take up a workshop space. We had to split showroom or our studio and workshop. So I had just about ventured in and spoken to a friend's friend and organized to get build a workshop space for us. So that was a huge shift and a big outflow. And at that time, also, what happened was we were just thinking, how do I take it forward? Because I had my child, I going back to work. I went back to work immediately. About 1.5 months, I was back in the studio. And it so happened at that time that my friend Aditi also was got married and was in the family way, and then she wanted to take it easy and quit because she had other priorities at home. It was not convenient for her to continue. So I was here stuck with a large new place, yeah, a small baby, and didn't know, how to, carry this forward. I had employees, all of that. So that was when my husband and me sat down and discussed. He was always part of the journey because he knew what was happening, though he was working elsewhere. He knew, I mean, it was friends and family who helped throughout in the beginning. So we sat and discussed, and then we said, okay, he was ready to join Earthen Symphony. There were only two options at that point for me: either just continue the way it was, keep it in that small scale, and continue, or if I had to really, there were opportunities. There were a lot of requests for larger consignments of pottery, but if I had to do it, I needed more help. So either my husband joins me or I continue the way it was. So we said, okay, let's see for a year. How will this pan out? So that was when he decided to join Earthen Symphony. So once he joined Earthen Symphony, he was able to take care of a lot of the installation, the transport, material procurement, and the handling of the workshop in terms of production with the people. So that eased a little bit for me to concentrate a little more on design, and then also to think that now what happened was this became a bread and butter. So I
Yeah.
had to focus everything that
Yeah.
I could
Yeah.
into my business. So between 2000 and 2005, what happened was I had a new production unit. My husband joined the company, and my partner was not there with me anymore.
Wow. At this point, I want to bring in some essential elements for our viewers. So it was very interesting for you to say that, look, I had two choices. I could either run my business the way it was. I would still do my hobby or do a business. But the other was take risk, get my husband involved at the cost of what it takes when the woman and the man of the house, they're both involved in one business. There is no income to fall back on, and take that risk up and continue. That is actually part of scale up. Scale up is a choice, and how much is also a choice. But in that case, Madhu, when you were putting up your new store and your husband joined in, how are you managing funds? Like, did you have your own capital to invest in the new asset? or the property, can, if I can say, or you had to arrange for money?
Oh yeah, I took bank loan. I took bank
Wow.
loan for taking the new space,
Okay.
and this was a bank loan which was a term loan,
Okay.
and which we were able to manage and clear out well within the term actually finished. But that was when I did my workshop, right?
Mm-hmm.
But when I took the showroom space, so what
Mm-hmm.
happened is the showroom that I had in Indranagar,
Mm-hmm.
uh, that place was sold. The owner
Mm-hmm.
of that place sold it. So I had to move out of that showroom space. And
Mm-hmm.
at that point, we had just about taken a much larger workshop space. So there were a lot of things which were happening. So I decided to make a smaller showroom. So when we made the smaller showroom, I realized for almost about 2 years, we managed with a small showroom setup, but I
Mm-hmm.
realized that was doing nothing to the brand. So again,
Mm-hmm.
by about 2007 or so, I decided that 2007, yeah, 2006, 2007, that we needed a much bigger showroom to really, have the look and feel of what we want to showcase to the clients. That is when I took this showroom that you're seeing. This is a showroom that we made, and here, when I had to do this, the investment was quite high in terms of doing the interiors of the showroom, along with taking up a much bigger place. In fact, the landlord was very skeptical whether we could actually afford to take his place on rent. I remember very clearly they came all the way to my workshop. They spoke with a couple of our neighbors just to check, how stable the business is. And once I took it to do up the interiors, at that point, I remember I took a loan from my mother. My mother helped me with one of her FDs that she had. And that is how I was able to do the interiors of that showroom.
Wow. But is it in the same batch? Are we talking about 2000, 2005, or is this
No,
between
that,
2005 and 10?
that was 2007, 2006, 2007.
So I'll revise. Okay. So between 95 and 2000, you had a business partner. You had a small unit that you were operating. You had clients, and you had basic cash flow. Things were smooth.
Right.
Between 2000 and 2005, your partner chose family and had to move on with her life. You had a child in your life, so you had to handle and take care of your child. And your husband joined you in business. You opened a new retail space for which you took a bank loan worth rupees 3
Workshop.
lakhs.
That
Workshop.
was a workshop. I did a
Okay.
workshop in 2005.
Okay, okay. And now, in between 2000 2005, you have a workshop. Your
Yes,
husband joins the business. Your business is your bread and butter. And you
right.
pretty much decide to do this business beyond all odds, is what my understanding is.
Absolutely.
Right? So
I
now
mean,
we move. Yeah.
I can just, I remember in my workshop, I mean, it's a proper workshop where you're doing carpentry and nailing and painting and everything. But I had this small little room where I had made a small bed, cot, everything separate for my child. And I went into the studio every day with my child, and a 4-month-old baby, my son, grew in my studio till he was almost 2.5 years.
Wow. That's the journey of a woman. Absolutely. But tell me something. Do you want to share with us some of your key learnings in this 10 years of journey between 95 and 2005? Anything
The
that
initial
stands?
years, the initial years are the difficult years. Initial years are when you really need to just stick with your conviction. There are going to be so many times when you think, have I taken the right decision? Am I doing right? Should I give up all this? I mean, a job is always so much more easier. And you see your peers who probably graduated with you, their lifestyles are different, their growth curves are different, and your self doubt can creep in. I would say this is the time to stick to your conviction, but give more than your 100%. You need to really work and give more than your 100% to be able to go anywhere. I mean, if you've managed to stay 5 years, 10 years in the business, then there's nothing to worry about. The business will take care of itself. But that 5 and 10 years, you need to work on it.
Wow. So now also one more thing I want you to throw some light. So between 2005 and 95 and 2005, you know, your husband joins in, you take bank loan, you know that, you know, there's no second income to fall back on. Are these calculated risks, or are these risks that you take because you believe in your conviction? Where does it go?
Believe in conviction, yes, but calculated as well. It is a calculated risk, I would say, because how I look at it is at the max, what is it that I lose? Right?
What was your losing?
Even when my husband joined me, we decided that we look at a 1 year period and see how it goes. It was not like this is done and over. There's no looking back.
Yeah.
But after we took that risk, we realized there is no need to look back.
Sure. Nice. Okay. So in that case, now let's move ahead. So what was Earthen Symphony and Madhu's journey like between 2005 and 2015?
2005 and 2010?
10, yeah. And 10, yeah. No,
2005 to 2010. We did till 2005.
Yeah.
2005 to 2010, like I just already mentioned, I realized that the showroom space that we had in Indranagar, we had to give that up because the place got sold. And that is when we did this new showroom. I call it the new showroom. And that became our brand flagship store. That is where, you know, people recognized and associated with what Earthen Symphony is all about. Once we did that, things and the hiring was happening for help, business was going on. So by 2007-8, when we had the showroom, I had about 14 people already employed, and I was doing the designs. I was happy with where I was. And my husband was taking care of the installations. But I realized that things were very smooth and easy, but they were getting stagnant as well. I realized we were doing the same thing every day. What I did yesterday was similar to what I did tomorrow and the day after. So I was actually, but I knew that there is a huge scope, because so till then, there was never a point in my business where I had an unhappy client or anybody telling that, you know, okay, let me think about this. What is this all about? Everybody liked what we were doing, and we had very satisfied clients, and we had repeat clients. So, but like I said, since I was not from a business background, I thought the best way forward for me would be to do some kind of a business management course online. You know, I had heard of online courses available. So I was scouting for an online course, and that's when I saw an ad in the newspaper for this 10,000 Women program, which was a sponsored program by Goldman Sachs, and it was conducted by ISB. Now that again was, you know, a little jittery or a little difficult for me to think that I'm going to go back to studies again after so long. But again, here again, there was nothing that, I mean, what did I have to lose? It was a 3-month program, and it said it's totally sponsored, and it is from ISB. So that is when I went ahead and applied for that program. I got in. I enjoyed, you know, the whole course. That was the first time actually I realized that I'm an entrepreneur. The very word as entrepreneur, you know, I was proud being an entrepreneur, because I saw my whole cohort mates in my class. They were all sailing in the same boat. In fact, probably I was better off. I was already 14 years into business by then, whereas there were a lot of women entrepreneurs who were 2 years, 3 years, 4 years into business. And the recognition that I got when I did the course And like you mentioned in the introduction, I got the Best Business Plan award. That is when my eyes opened and I saw what was possible. And that is when I started thinking as a businesswoman. All that while it was, like you said, a passion, a hobby, which became a business. I was selling and creating what I liked and selling. But now I started thinking as a businesswoman, and that was a paradigm shift for my business. And 2000, I finished my course in 2009, and a lot of takeaways from there. I started networking. Networking was something I never ever did. When I say networking, it's not just going out and networking for business with unknown people, but I'm saying even with my own customers. I never went beyond. When somebody said, "Oh, very nice, thank you, what you've done," I would happily say, "Yeah, I'm very happy, thank you, I'm glad you liked," and that's about it. But I never went further to say, "Okay, if there is anybody else similar to your kind of taste who would like our services, please refer them to us." Even saying something like that was not something what I even imagined could be done. But all these things changed post doing my course. So from 2009, I finished the course, and by 2010, I was putting in a lot of different kind of planning and structure for my business. I started my first design hire. So Aditi, my partner who had quit, I went back to her and got her back as an employee into Earthen Symphony. I mean, she was,
Wow.
yes. So she was my first design hiree, I would say, who is now again very much into Earthen Symphony in the scope of a design assistant.
Nice. So between 2005 and 2010, the business got settled between with you and your husband handling it. The
Yes,
business was getting monotonous. Hence,
right.
you were looking to see what can we do. And ISB fell in place, and it opened up new avenues for you.
Right.
First opportunity that you said yes to after ISB was going back to Aditi and asking her to join back.
Yes.
Something that may look very small to some of us, but in a way, it kind of shows such a long journey to even open that avenue up. From where I see, it's amazing. So now that you have a new business plan, you have Aditi back, the business is a lot more settled. What was business like between 2010 and 15 then?
Between 2010 and 15, there was a lot of changes happening in the business. Business was really growing, and I was churning. My mind was really churning as to how I could make things different. I started using a lot of technology, a lot of software. I got in machinery. I took loan. I took a much bigger bank loan. I got machinery which could help me increase my production capacity. And also, it is not just about production capacity, also in terms of design itself, machinery and software that I started utilizing and technology that I started utilizing made sure that from my sketch stage to the final production. So you can see here how things started growing larger was also because of using technology. From a small sketch, which I would draw on a paper and pencil, to final production, there would hardly be any variation by the use of technology and by using machinery in space. So I started implementing technology using machinery. And then also what happened was in 2012, I'm talking, in 2012 is when I got the award as a global woman leader, what you mentioned, from Fortune and Goldman Sachs. And because of that, I was invited to give talks in different places across the country on entrepreneurship. So that was again something which I went around cities. And as I was talking in one of the talks in Chandigarh, there was one of the audience, a lady, a woman entrepreneur, who came up to me and who told me that she was really impressed with what we were doing. And she had a daughter who was studying in NIFT. And she wanted her daughter to intern with me. Now, this was something very unheard of. I had never been in the academic teaching, so I thought anybody, if they're studying and if they're going to intern, then they would probably look at a company which has somebody from the academic line, or visiting professors or whatever. I had no clue about this. So I, in fact, told her, no, I've never had interns in my studio. I don't know what, needs to be done. She said, don't worry, my daughter is very good, and what you're doing, she will like, and you will like her. You please try, you take her. I said, okay. Now that she is asking me, and I've come here to talk about entrepreneurship, let me try. I mean, what is there? What do I have to lose here again? So I said, okay, send her over. And this sweet little intern came and joined my studio for 4 months. And 4 months, so I was, giving her whatever that we were doing. I was teaching her, and she was creating her document for submission. And when she submitted a document, it was really liked. I mean, in her final year presentation, she was very well appreciated. Her work was very well appreciated. And the NIFT asked me whether I want to give her an opportunity to continue working, offer her a job in my company. And I said, since I'd already seen what she was capable of, so I hired her. I gave her a job opportunity. And this was how, I started hiring. That was because before that, the only other person who was doing design or sketching and drawing was Aditi. And she was I'd known her from before. I'd never hired for design. And this is how I started hiring. And now I've hired almost about 15 people from NIFT.
Wow.
I go for campus interview and hire them. So this big change happened. So I started having a designer independently working on a particular project. So I was coordinating now with 5 different designers. I had 5 designers, which means that I was able to take on much more. Yeah. So many more projects, because I could work for each project. I had somebody who was taking care of the back end for me.
Yeah.
So this major change happened between 2010 to 2015.
So can I say 2010 and 15 was a change of handloom to powerloom? Things that were happening by hand were now happening through technology.
No, handwork is still very much part of our production. But the scale of what we do, and because of the use of technology, I was able to explore design and do much more, and do it much more faster.
Brilliant. So Madhu, we have now last 10 to 15 minutes left. Okay. So between 2010 and 15, we understand that things scaled up. You hired people, you started using technology, the scale of work increased, the deliverables increased, you were able to take up more. How was money playing in this space? Were you ready for it? You had to fund it? Did it require cash flow?
This was the time when I took an OD facility with my bank.
Okay.
And one thing is, as my projects are all custom designed, I always work with an advance only from my customers. So for me, cash flow for running the company was not difficult, but to be able to set up a work desk for each of the design hirees, I needed an initial capital. So there again, I took a loan from the bank for buying these equipments. And it's always been a bank loan that I have taken. So when I bought the machinery, again, that was my biggest loan that I took. We took a bank loan of almost about 20 lakhs for the machinery. But I can say very well that even before the bank loan time was done, the machinery, actually increased my business by almost about 3-4 folds within within a couple of months. Right. And then what happened was in 2015, by around 2015 also. So we never did any kind of marketing all the while. It was by word of mouth. The exhibitions, what we had done, that was it. After that, there was no other marketing. In 2015, a good friend, a very close friend of mine from school, was in a situation where she needed to find herself a job. So being close to her, the first thing that came to my mind was, come over to my studio and let's see what we can do. And when she came, she had an interior design background. So I started training her with the design team. Initially, she learned whatever the design team was doing, but then I slowly started focusing her design energies into a residential segment of what we do, because residences is a huge segment as well. And slowly I've trained her, grown her, and now developed her such a way that she is able to handle all my residential clients. So she front ends my residential clients. That way I was able to ease out a lot of my time to focus on my corporate and institutional work. So this was also another major change which happened by 2015.
Wow. So we have two questions before we progress. So one is Madhu's asking, how did you reach out to your clients between 2005 and 2015?
Right, 2005 and between 2005 and 2015, we didn't do too much of advertising. My showroom was one of my main showcase space and a marketing space. We had people walking into the showroom, and we also took part in B2B shows.
Wow.
Every year, one B2B show, like an Index Trade Fair or an Ace Tech, which is more to do with the interior design industry. So that is where we used to have our shows, and that is where we got our clients. And most of our clients are repeat clients. Every year we have a lot of repeat clients, but our new clients were acquired through the B2C shows. And also, like I said, in 2010, I started networking. I joined this group called BNI, Business Network International. So that is also a referral marketing space where through BNI as well, I did my marketing. So our marketing was always below the radar. There was no outright crying out for business. We've never marketed ourselves loudly, but it's always been below the radar, but it's been effective marketing.
Wow. Okay, Madhu, we are almost on 412. I hope viewers we can exceed this by 10 to 15 minutes. We still have 5 more years journey to go and we have few questions. Madhu, we'll kind of time ourselves up now. Yeah.
Sure. Yep.
So we have a question from Deepa. She's saying, by hiring new designers, how did you ensure that your personal touch wasn't diluted in your work?
So when I say I hired designers, the design direction was always taken by me. So once a design has been roughly sketched and planned, you still need a lot of detailing of that which needs to happen. So just like how an architect's firm, if you were to imagine. So there are junior architects, but it is always the main architect who is doing the design, the main large scale, the large planning of the design. Then the detailing, where what has to come, what material we are going to be using, so when I say digital, every design has to be a vector created file. So the vector creation is a long process. So these are the things which the design team takes care of.
Nice. Deepa has another question. She says, who do you bank with?
Vijaya Bank. Now Bank of Baroda, but Vijaya Bank.
Thank you. Deepa and Madhu, I hope your questions have been answered. And now we are back to the journey. So between 2010 and 15, we understand that you took an OD, the business was flourishing, Aditi's joined back, you're now hiring, the business is taken care of. Now, what is business between 15 and 20?
So between 15 and 20, so like I said, by around 15 was when a friend joined in and I started diversifying or slightly, shifting residential as one section and my the corporate and institution as a separate vertical. So I had more time to dedicate for the design or go behind the business that I wanted in the corporate sector. But I realized for that, I need to be out in the market and do marketing. So we didn't, like I said, we didn't have anybody for marketing. But at that point, around 2017, as I was talking to a friend of mine, a fellow entrepreneur, there was a suggestion that there was a lady who had approached her for job, and she was telling me that if you would want to try her, give her some position in your company. So that's when I spoke to lady. This lady is a pretty senior lady, who is a senior citizen. But when I spoke to her, I realized that she had good communication skills, good presentation skills. So I realized that I could use her for my marketing purpose. Earthen Symphony, she would fit in well to be the face of Earthen Symphony when she goes and meets a client on a cold call. So that is what happened in 2017. So now, so if you can see, as and how there was a requirement, a new vertical got created. So when my husband joined in, there was a vertical which he took care of installations. So installation and production became one separate vertical. Then when Aditi came back, so the design help, the designer team became one separate. And then after that, when Madhvi, my friend from school, came back, residential became a separate section. And then when I hired Sunita, that was the lady for marketing, so marketing as a separate vertical or as a helpful vertical for the business
Yeah,
of the company
supporting vertical for business.
got formulated.
Yeah, yeah. Interesting. So now, between all of this scaling up, you've been constantly sharing how you were creating infrastructure for the company. But what was happening with your personal life? How were you dealing with your personal space? How were you balancing the work life?
So for me, I've been lucky. I mean, my family has been very supportive. My son is a proud son, having his mother. When he was in school, I remember in his school, we had done, there were murals that we had done. And I remember when he was pretty young, second standard or third standard, his art teacher is supposed to have asked the class, what are murals? And nobody knew. And he stood up and said, murals are what my mother has done on the walls in the school.
Nice.
So yeah, so I've had a very supportive family, and throughout, I've for me, intellectual stimulation is very important. I find it energizing. Maybe that is the reason I've been always constantly finding something different, new to learn, do, grow. Just recently, I also, as I was thinking, I realized that I need also to have a plan B, because right now custom design is what we do and I could become a bottleneck anytime. So I have started a vertical as the retail vertical for Earthen Symphony. We have a catalog collection which is available online, earthensymphony.com. Anybody across the country and overseas can order. We have more than 700 artworks which are listed in that. So that is something that I have just recently created. And for that, I wanted to create a business plan, because just having a platform is not, you know better than me, Ruchi. Traffic is not just going to come there and people are not going to click and buy. So to plan that, I was thinking what to do. And that's exactly where recently there was an ambassador program, which was again announced by ISB Mohali. And I happened to be the first cohort who graduated from that again. And along the while, a friend of mine, another entrepreneur friend of mine, happened to mention in passing that he had hired a business coach. And that's when I thought, yes, probably there is something beyond which can be done. And my understanding is not sufficient, but if I could have a business mentor or a coach, it would open up my views and ideas as well. So recently, I've hired a business coach, when I say recently, as recent as November. So
Nice.
yeah, continuously growing intellectually is very important.
So what you're bringing to attention is also that there is no age or definition to say that you do not need support in business. I mean, after doing a multi-crore business that you are already doing, if you're still okay to seek support and have somebody to mentor you or look up to somebody as a mentor, I think is a great character of a person who wants to scale up. But in that space, Madhu, I want to take two questions from you. Like, if you can combine them also will work. So one, like I was saying, how, because you and your husband work together. With women, work life is actually a subject of conversation forever. So if some tips and tricks that work for you, that keeps you and your husband sane at work and at home, number one. Number two, three learnings that you live by, that you think is your biggest learning as an entrepreneur over the journey.
Yeah, for your first question, it's taken a lot of trial and error, how best to work as husband, wife at work and at home. But we've reached a stage where at work, I am in my studio and he's in the workshop taking care of production. We hardly meet there. But yes, there was a lot of maturing over the time to be able to come to this level where both of us had to understand that this is my area of expertise and this is your area of expertise. We do not come and trouble each other between whatever that we are doing.
So the tip is that understand the strength of
Yes.
the person in the position that you are in.
Absolutely.
Okay.
So when you say work-life balance, I don't think work is different, life is different, right?
Okay.
As part of life, work is a part of your life. So I don't really find.
So you say this.
Yeah, it is this. I mean, this is so much more enjoyable when it is like this than when you have this separate and this separate. You're always trying to balance.
So that worked for you.
Yeah, so that is something very I do believe that there's no subject as a work-life balance. It's all together.
Mm-hmm.
And three things that I go by. One is every individual has a strength. So within your team, I mean, I started hiring unskilled people. Absolutely. Initially, in my design team, my production team, now we are totally 40 people. My production team, there are 30 people who are totally hired from unskilled section of society. It's not like they've studied anything or learned or they're artisans or anything. I've hired them and then skilled them and trained them. So I believe that every individual has something in which they can excel. Find that intrinsic strength rather than trying to make everybody or trying to impose what you want on somebody. Find what is their intrinsic capacity and then develop on that. Give them more support to grow that. That way they will be so much more happier, you would be happier, and there will be more ownership when you appreciate somebody for their own innate strength. So that is one. And then I would also say, like you clearly said, the power of saying yes. Every time, whenever something challenged me, instead of thinking that I'm in a comfortable place, let me just be here and then say no to something, when I find that it is something which is challenging, I first say yes and then work around and try to see how I can do. I mean, even like you said, the TEDx talk, when I received this mail for a TEDx talk, I said, oh my God, stand up there and talk for so long. But I first said yes and then figured out, how to really make that talk, because I admire TEDx talks. I've heard so many TEDx talks. And when somebody requested me to be a TEDx speaker, that was a way of saying yes to something which scares you. So for me, yes, I think that is a good way to grow. Another thing is, like I always say, the last one would be give your 100%. More than, if anything is worth doing at all, then it's worth doing 100%. So give more than your 100% so that tomorrow you don't have to look back and say, I wish I had just done that little more in anything.
Wow. Thank you so much, Madhu. This was an amazing 1 hour that we spent. 45 minutes have almost become 1 hour.
Sorry
But
for going
no,
overboard,
no,
but
no. Thank you so much. I think all of us have got so much from you. What you really taught was that you're never in a comfortable space when you scale up. So say yes to being uncomfortable. That's the starting point. Number one. Number two, it was amazing to hear that yes, it's okay to have unskilled team and then skill them. Maybe that there is a space to build relationship and retain them for long, because that's another question that's in business running today. How do you retain your team? So
yeah,
probably, right?
yeah. I mean, happy to say that my production team, everybody, I mean, my oldest employee is 23 years with me.
Mm-hmm.
And then I have 18 years, 15 years, 7 years. Everybody, once they've joined, we've hardly had any attrition in my production unit.
Wow. Wow. So we actually have learned a lot from you, Madhu, today. I mean, our viewers have been sending lots of appreciation, and thank you for sharing your journey with so much honesty and openness. So yes, guys. So the learning is that let's plan our own scale up. We define how much we want to scale up and what we want to do. But once we decide, let's get on to it. With this, enjoy your cup of tea, stay home, stay safe. If you like this, please subscribe to him. Thank you so much. Have a good evening and great day ahead. Thank you,
Thank you.
Madhu.
Thank you. Thank you all.